Welcome back to Vital Signs. Could this creature really be a missing link to human longevity? It's the naked mole rat, a face only a mother could love, right? But it also has natural aging defenses that are the envy of the animal kingdom. Scientists are now trying to unlock the genetic secrets of this pint-sized picture of vitality, understand why mole rats don't seem to age, and we may just figure out why humans do.
A mole rat is not a mouse, and it's not a rat, and it's not a mole. It's a very distinct species of rodent.
Physiologist Rochelle Buffenstein has studied these animals more extensively than anyone. From Kenya to South Africa to New York, now San Antonio. They've been with her nearly 30 years and number 1,200.
They basically look like pink, wrinkly little sausages.
Not only do mole rats live 10 times longer than other rodents, an average of 26 years, but their aging is healthier than most animals. They age very slowly, with minimal changes to their biology. The females never enter menopause, able to breed until they die.
When you look at a naked mole rat, they look so fragile. They don't look like they would survive anything. You can see all the internal organs. It's very deceiving because these animals really are incredibly resilient to every disease known.
There's never been a single incidence of cancer in the colony. In fact, Buffenstein and her team have tried to introduce carcinogens to mole rat cells, and the cells simply defy every attempt.
See if we can show you newborns. Clearly there's something about their cells that are very much more aware of environmental stresses. They seem to maintain their DNA far better. So the kidney has the highest level. We're pretty certain that the two key components in their anti-aging mechanisms involve being able to recognize a damaged piece of DNA and to then respond appropriately by saying, no more, you're not going to do anything until you're fixed.
Buffenstein thinks this might be key to treating cancer in humans. Understand the genetic mechanisms which protect the mole rat from age-related disease. Maybe we can incorporate that into human biology.
We know that this animal knows the answer, and we just have to somehow or other delve into what it's doing and find out what that really is.
But Buffenstein's mole rats are only a small part of the expanding world of aging research. For years, we've known that dieting, extreme dieting known as caloric restriction, has led to longer, healthier lives in lab animals. The proof? These very old and very fit monkeys at the University of Wisconsin.
Looking at two monkeys that are about the same age, which is 28 years old, which is about a year past the average lifespan of rhesus monkeys.
At the National Primate Research Center in Wisconsin, Professor Rick Weindruch suits up and shows us the results of nearly a career's worth of research.
We have to wait 30 to 40 years for our lifespan data to be final in the monkeys. We are getting there, and we are getting meaningful, statistically robust differences.
Colleagues call him the most patient scientist in his field. While others have proven the benefits of CR or caloric restriction in everything from yeast to worms to mice, for decades Weindruch has been studying its effects on monkeys with their longer lifespans and their similarities to humans.
The one on the left has been subjected to caloric restriction roughly for the last 20 years since the experiment began. This animal is eating 30% fewer calories than it ate prior to the start of the study.
Since it was first stumbled on in the 1930s, CR has been a foundation in aging research. Researchers say this type of calorie cutting seems to turn on a sort of genetic survival switch.
We think it's really quite clear that for the large majority of the monkeys on calorie restriction, they look younger than those on the normal diet that are the same age.
But Weindruch says its benefits are much more than just skin deep.
And we're seeing roughly a 4 times greater risk of developing age-related diseases in the animals on the normal diet as opposed to those subjected to caloric restriction.
Age-related diseases that include cancers, diabetes, the list is well known. And just this past month, Weindruch's team made another discovery. Brain scans of the CR monkeys, when compared to their well-fed counterparts, showed significantly less atrophy or cell loss along the surface of the brain. which could potentially add another age-related illness to the list, Alzheimer's disease. While the brain shrinks with normal aging, that rate is doubled in people with Alzheimer's. Weindruck says the recent findings are significant.
It's not about picking off one disease at a time. It's about quieting this whole broad threshold of problems that stem from this common process which we call aging.
Mole rats, monkeys, it all means very little if we can't figure out how to translate the findings to humans. Scientists in Boston say they're closing in on a pill that could prevent a wide range of age-related diseases. So next, we head to Sertris Pharmaceuticals and find out just how close they really are.
A personal goal of mine has been to change the way we do medicine.
David Sinclair and Christoph Westphal aren't bashful when talking about plans for their company.
And basically it's who's going to get which tissues.
The co-founders of Sertris Pharmaceuticals say they're well on their way to developing a drug that could mimic the benefits of caloric restriction without the drawbacks of dieting.
So we're monitoring the channels right here.
They're humans that calorie restrict, they are healthier. They're animals that calorie restrict, they're healthier, live longer. We now have human clinical studies in diabetics where it's worked. So clearly the biology and the science is right. Now it's actually just how long is it going to take us and how much is it going to cost.
Sinclair says the turning point came in the early 90s when he and others discovered a set of genes that could control the aging process. His longevity pathway of choice, a family of genes called the sirtuins.
Really one of the breakthroughs from my perspective was when David at Harvard Medical School and Lenny Guarente at MIT showed that you can either calorie restrict or you can turn on these sirtuins with a small molecule drug resveratrol and it has the same effect.
Just like caloric restriction, resveratrol, a natural compound found in red wine, seemingly triggered the sirtuins. For Westphal and Sinclair, it was an aha moment. And in 2004, Sertris was born. In their shared office, they pay homage to the red wine compound that started it all. But these days, they share more of a love-hate relationship with resveratrol.
The focus of Sertris Pharmaceuticals is really very potent molecules that are about 1,000 times more potent than resveratrol.
Looks like it's not very soluble. These are designed by the chemists here at Sertris, and they've made, by hand, over 3,000 of these. And the best ones out of those 3,000 are going into human clinical studies right now. They're new to science, and they're 1,000 times better than the natural stuff. Yeah, this is the good stuff.
Sinclair and Westphal say it's these synthesized compounds that hold the real promise.
So we started with resveratrol just as a proof of concept. We use this resveratrol to really see what these molecules might do in the future. But these are the real thing. These are the drugs that we hope will enter the market in the coming years.
But 9 out of 10 drugs that look good in lab animals ultimately fail in human trials. And that's a statistic that's not lost on Sinclair.
The thing that I've really learned is how difficult it is to make a drug. The work that I did over at Harvard was the easy part. The rest has involved hundreds of people and tens of millions of dollars, and we're not there yet.
Not there yet, but with the backing of nearly $1 billion by pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline, Westphal is confident Sertris is on the right track.
It's no longer a question of if, it's a question of when.
Some more sage advice now, some aging secrets from around the globe, a few personal stories on leading a longer, healthier life.
The secret to longevity is to exercise every morning, like practicing Tai Chi, boxing, kicking and running. Old people can live a longer life with some physical activities. If people want longevity, they have to exercise. Without that, it cannot be done. So every morning I practice Tai Chi.